Liam, we've been catching up already, mate, but thanks so much for joining us, Matt and Mates, today. And you've obviously survived the wet weather that's going on to make it in here, so even better.
I have just. It's a bit of like, it's a bit crazy out there at the moment. All the roads are full of rubbish and a bit like, I don't know, you watched last night's game, the
Eagles game. Yeah.
It's all the pie wrappers and chip packets coming through the...
Still making their way through, yeah.
Crazy. It was bizarre scenes, but I made it here and, well, safe and sound.
Safe and sound, great. I've been meaning to, I think I've been meaning to reach out to you for a little while, as I told you off air just before, but... I've met you a little while back. Like, we obviously have a few mutual connections. You having some Geraldton connections, and myself as well, being from Geraldton. But a story that I just remember vividly of yourself was actually back by time in the Wacker. So you obviously played cricket at that level, but I, back in about 2015, 2016, got the opportunity through Murdoch to be a prac student at the Wacker. So I got to spend a lot of my time with like the men's teams, the Scorchers, WA team, and that. And I can't 100% remember, were you in the squad around that time, or were you in the development squad?
Oh, geez. Back then, I would have been contracted, I think, if it was 2015 or whenever
16,
it was.
Yeah.
And, obviously, as a prac student, you come in and you're almost like a bit of a lackey, setting up cones and a bit of everything in those days. Hopefully, they were a little bit more engaging.
They were pretty nice.
No, you got a good crew down there. The S&C crew are definitely ones where they'll try and give you a bit of opportunity. But, we do have a bit of a crossover of mates and then a crossover of a little bit of that as well. But, back then I would have been still potentially contracted, and I try to steer clear of the S&C guys, to be honest. It wasn't my strong point. So
it's funny you say that, because most of the time I spent a lot of my time in the gym or out in the field, so like setting up the cones and bibs, whatever it would have been. But you were probably one of the only blokes, like most people, they were really nice, like everyone I spoke to, but you're the only ones that would have stopped, have a good chat with me. And now actually you saying that makes sense, because I reckon you spent more time chatting with me and some of the other prac students than I saw you lifting weights.
Yeah, well, that's my cover, isn't it? Like, if you as long as you're in the gym, they don't know what you're doing too much, and you just got to fly below the radar, I think. But yeah, look, I will say gym and running in bits and pieces wasn't my strong point, but I got it done, and it was probably one where I just reminded myself a lot of the time. I was like, there's worse things than getting paid to go to the gym in the morning. So if I'm doing that, then it was a bit of motivation for myself. But no, I was middle of the pack with some of that stuff.
You did pretty well. I was in charge of your iPad a few times, so I remember putting in the weights for you, going like, he's holding his own.
Yeah, that's the main thing. You just got to cruise through where you don't get noticed for being you don't want to go into fat club or anything. But outside of that, no, I was okay.
Do you know, like, we'll get into it in a bit, but who would have been like the biggest gym rat during the time?
God, even like during my time, you had like Marcus Stoinis and a few of these guys, like Hilton Cartwright, who's like, you obviously see how well both of those two are built. They're absolute specimens and not an inch of fat on them. But those guys, I think it almost became a bit of a competition with them. And it's who can lift the biggest. You have your sort of three rep maxes and your contest, and there's a little bit of testosterone flowing with that. Whereas I'm quite the opposite. I was not getting too involved into some of that stuff, but those two stand out. And look, I think if you were to put a line of 20 odd WA cricketers at the time and you had those two in there, you'd probably be able to pick it as well, because they're usually the ones that order the slightly tighter shirts as well, you can see. So, but not me.
Not yourself?
No.
Right. As we said, you held your own, what you needed to do there. Well, obviously, bit of a cricketing background for yourself. You got to play at the highest level for WA and in the BBL. But before we get into any of that, there's a question I like to ask every guest that jumps on the pod, so I hope you've done a bit of research. What would be your biggest, most random achievement during your childhood?
Yeah, I do like that question. I reckon it's a nice one.
We've had some interesting answers.
I was about to say, you would get a few interesting ones. I actually had two, because I was like, there was one that stuck, and there was a little bit of Gero connection in there, so you might you might be a little bit familiar with what I'll refer to. But the first one was, and I'm no school genius either, and I never was. But I think year 10, I was I got the Ducks of Religion. So I went to John Sepness Row here locally, and I sport was my strong point, and everything else sort of just cruised by. And at that stage, you're not thinking too far ahead with your academic sort of studies, but I think the religious studies, like, it was a bit more values based, and somehow I don't know whether the teacher liked me or whatever it was, but I got the Dux of religion, and that I will hang my hat on for. That is not my biggest accomplishment, I'd like to think, but no, it's one that definitely I think is a bit quirky in there, and
it's very out there. It's something that, because like you're forced going to those type of schools, those religious schools. It's part of the curriculum. You have to do it.
You have to do it. Yeah, correct.
So the fact that you were so switched on during them,
I know. Look, I must have. I did something right in the lessons anyway, but I think at that point early on, you do a little bit of sort of more around different types of religion, all these other things, and then as you go a little bit older, they tend to transition it more into values and, I guess what are some of those things that resonate well with, bit of Bible, bit of value-based stuff. And, look, I managed to get it. So I'll happily claim that for forever and time. And you can't take that away from me. So,
never.
But the second one was, you might know, Gero Easter tennis comp.
Yes.
So regular, it's quite a big thing in Geraldton. It's not a biggish country town, you would say, but
I played at Sporting or Tukwila?
Sporting. So and grass courts. It's all quite nice, and you don't often. Well, I know for me, I had played a handful of tennis games in my life, had a little bit of good movement on me, but that was about it. But I think I would have been 18 or 19, and I had a few tennis savvy mates, and we decided to go down for the Gero Easter tennis comp for the year, for the that Easter, and I don't know how much you know about it, but it tends to be a bit more of a piss up than a tennis comp.
I have been told, I've got a few mates that have taken part in it.
Well, that's the thing. Taking part in it's a very fine line of whether it's you're actually just going there to have a few beers and almost like sweat it out a little bit the next day. But I had a very talented partner, and we entered into the bottom division doubles, and we were coming up against some. Yeah, like we were two young, like 18, 19-year-olds, and we were versing like these 55-year-old men who'd been playing for, and even older at some. And there was a bloke there, I think, that was on a crutch as well that we're playing against. We're in the bottom of the bottom divvy here, and we took it out. So we took out the doubles.
Did you win convincingly? Or?
Well, I think we did. And I will say I lent on him very heavily in this competition. I was at best, a sort of like just pop the serve over and it sometimes bounces twice before it actually reaches them. But I was average. But the prize for that was a $20 like cash prize for both of us. And I was like, if you're getting paid in a comp and win, does that make you a professional player?
Well,
I think
actually, definition would make sense, wouldn't it?
Well, look, you've won a comp and you're getting paid for it, so I'll hang my hat a little bit on that and say maybe a semi-professional tennis player, put that in the bio as well. But
tennis player, cricketer, and religious genius.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how well-rounded you can be, but that's
covered all bases.
I'm covering a few bases there. But that's a couple of ones that sprung to mind when you have said that.
Amazing answers. Great. Again, first two I've had of that in that nature. So it's really given me some insight into the people I have on the show to see what they've actually accomplished during that time.
Oh, you could get some quirky ones as well. Like people, you go through some weird things when you're a little bit younger. Yeah, your parents can force you down some odd avenues as well. So. Yeah, no, it's... have you been asked... What about yourself?
Mine...
Surely you got one.
I've got a couple of good ones, but nothing too as outrageous yourself. Probably two that for me that would pop out would be... I remember entering one of those colouring competitions in the paper, and like the West Australian, whatever they are, and won these little like teddy things. I don't really remember. I would have been like 6, 7 years old at the time when I did it.
That's handy though.
Oh yeah, I'll take it. The other one was like, speaking of like schooling, was in year 8. So for language, we had our opportunity of learning Indonesian, Japanese, or Wadri, which is indigenous language for the Yamatji tribe in Geraldton or Midwest.
Yep.
And what we learnt was, my extinct memory of those classes was just sort of learning it, but also not doing a lot. Like I would go to those classes and just sort of go, okay, this is going to be an hour or two of doing nothing. And I just remember it was like halfway through the year, my name got called out for the Wadri Award for year 8, and I was going,
how good?
This is a bit different.
There's a little bit of crossover with, I guess, the religious style one.
Yeah,
We're
a
both,
little
don't
bit,
worry,
yeah.
they don't tell you when you get these awards sometimes, but you have to show up to like the thing. So I'm rocking up going, oh, I've nailed health and phys ed here.
Yeah.
I'm going to get something. And then, you get called up for whatever it is. But, that's...
I think, because I don't remember doing much during those classes, but I think it was the fact that I was just a quiet student. I kept my head down. I did the paperwork I needed to do. But I never really felt I was, like, excelling in anything, so... That would probably be mine, I'd say.
I'm surprised they teach language up in Geraldton. I think they're still trying to master English up there, aren't they? We're allowed to say that. We've both got family.
Don't worry, you can say whatever you want.
No, I won't go too hard at Geraldton.
Majority
have a few mates listening.
The majority of the listeners will probably be from Geraldton.
No, that's all right. We won't go too hard. We won't go too hard.
We could go on hours for that, but so my background of you is that you're this star cricket player in my eyes. So I've seen you from my time when I was at the WACA doing that work. But it obviously starts from somewhere. So you mentioned before, like earlier, that you do have connections in Geraldton, but were you sort of raised in Geraldton? Were you raised in Perth? Where did it all sort of start for you?
Yeah, I was raised in Perth, so I never, I guess my Geraldton background is mum and dad were born there, and then, they basically, as most Gero people do, as you know, you hit 18, 19, you're like, oh, there's maybe a bigger world out there than the coastal town of Geraldton, so they ventured down here, and then, from there, obviously, when I came, we were just living as a family down here, and I'd just venture up to Geraldton basically every school holidays because I still had a fair bit of family up there, but my sporting, I guess, footy and cricket started at, you're 5 years old, 4 years old, and you're either Auskick or I think it's Milo cricket.
Yeah, Milo have a go cricket.
Yeah, that was sort of my experience with early sport, and then I've played it ever since. I've never not played a season of cricket or footy. Whenever it is, I had to stop footy a little bit when I was playing professionally, but I managed to work my way back to that over the last 5 or 6 years, which has been lovely as well, and a nice little. I don't know. I sort of like both equally, and I'm a passionate supporter of both. But I guess the journey of that really just has been my whole life, which is great, and it's something that I think as you make lifelong friends through sport, and I still have plenty of mates, that I've really played 15 or 20 years of sport with. So it's you got a lot of shared experiences, which is really good, and then you got the professional side as well, which you have some amazing memories and mates that you make with as well. I do appreciate you saying star player as well. I was thinking before you had Xavier Ellis on before this, I was like, you could have had, someone a little bit, just a little bit more low key for me to follow in. But no, he's obviously an absolute, one was a very good footballer.
I reckon you're about par with each other, I'd feel.
Oh, no way.
Well-known names in Perth.
Xavier Ellis, on the same thing. He's got his own radio show with, and I've, on the podcast today, that's big enough.
That's
all right.
pretty big, yep. It's a huge achievement.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's. I was thinking about that on the way here. I was like, oh, that's a nice little follow-up. We'll have to get a few of those Gero listeners in and put the word out.
Well, I've had You would have played actually with him, Hoggy, a couple of years ago as well.
I did see that, yeah.
So he was a pretty big guest to get as well. I was surprised I actually scored him, but just happened to know some mutual friends again to score him on, and he was a Willetton boy. So that's sort of how I knew him. So when he came in, I was like, you might not remember me, but we did have a few training sessions together. He's like, oh yeah, I think I got the game.
It's who you know in some of those places. But did you get many words in? He's a bit of a talker.
Oh, he loved to talk, don't worry. I reckon that episode was one of my longest ones, and he was great. He had so many great things to share. Just it could go anywhere, that conversation with him.
He's definitely one where I feel like he's made his post career as well. He's sort of made it a bit about where he's able to just tell all these good stories, and he's played at the highest level, and he's had a really huge career, and one that went a lot longer than what most would go. He's I think he was running around until he's 44 or whatever.
He
in the
made
big
his second comeback from what he was saying. That surprised me.
God, I'm sore at 33, let alone trying to compete professionally at 44. 40s, I always think Scott Pendlebury's the one example. You're obviously in the media at the moment. I'm looking at him going, God, he's playing at that level at his age. And I'm like, God, how he does it is absolutely unbelievable that he can still play as well he is and obviously at the highest level as well. So he defies what you would say a mid-30s male would otherwise be able to do.
Definitely an outlier, but it comes down to this, how they prepare themselves, how seriously they take it. Like, not saying that majority wouldn't take it seriously, but I feel there's also that luck involved too of he hasn't had to have that many serious injuries and all that hit him, and that can sort of really play the effect into it all. But as for yourself, like you mentioned before, like you were quite sporty and all of that growing up. So footy and cricket, two of your main sports, cricket being obviously the one that you went down. But did you see footy ever sort of as the opportunity?
Look, I probably wasn't blessed with the physique and the height of a footballer. I was like a good junior footballer, like a little bit zippy, loved kicking a goal and highly selfish. You weren't the last one
selected.
No, I wasn't. No, I played bit of East Perth Colts and had a joint BNF win there. So that was sort of good. Like, I guess, my absolute peak of footy in that sense. And it got to that point where you're sort of like, I had to make a decision on one at 18, I think it was at the time, and cricket just happened to be. It's all about timing with some of that stuff as well. I think I had a good year of cricket and probably a year of footy where I just was like, the commitment wise, once you start playing sort of Colts and into that sort of footy, your training load just goes up substantially. So it's like you can't, and no longer do your parents run you around. It's all you. And all of a sudden you got to start earning some money as well. So I had to sort of make that call. And luckily for me, cricket was the one where it sort of, I was able to forge a bit of a career and as I said, I probably never at any point was like, I'm going to play AFL footy, but I just enjoyed footy and was trying to play as high as I could at the time, and you
enjoyed the game of footy, but like you just happened to have a bit of skill involved in it.
Oh, which is always nice. It was a very selfish, hungry forward, and I still am now. So I always enjoyed that side of footy, the sort of goal kicking and obviously just winning games, and it was a bit of fun. So. But my body and physique is more made for cricket, I would say. So I was naturally gonna head down that path, I think. Anyway,
well, it's just funny asking because most people like that tends to be the biggest thing. Most people, kids from that age, footy's like their big thing in the winter, cricket's their big thing in the summer, and then that comes down to that way of, well, which one do you see yourself more in? And most people probably choose the footy one, but it's good to see that there's a cricket one in there as well. Actually,
I think at that stage as well, like. Back in, let's say, the 2010s and around that time, AFL footballers, that was still when they were picking blokes, I think, when, you had to be 6'5" and, built like an absolute train, and that's what they were picking players on, and then they were just basically converting them to whatever position they wanted to. Whereas now it sort of started to flip back the other way. They're like, you don't have to be 190 centimetres, 195 centimetres. You've got Milan Murdoch who...
Nick Watson.
Yeah, Nick Watson. Like these guys who probably traditionally, you look at them and they're not the AFL like body of a footballer you would maybe otherwise.
They offer something different.
Yeah, and they're unbelievable skills, and goal sense and all these other things that probably come into it where, I think I don't know, I feel like it started to revert back to that where they're looking more on, what's your actual skill set like, and we could build the rest.
I will say that, yeah.
So it's an interesting. Maybe I missed the boat. No, I don't like the gym. As we spoke about, the gym would have got me if they spend a lot more time than cricketers in the gym as well, and I don't think I would have managed to last that long in that. But no, it's footy is good. I do enjoy my footy, and still am enjoying it now.
It's camaraderie and all that around footy club as well. Like you do get it in the cricket world as well, but footy club being a lot bigger space, a lot more players that go down there, and especially playing like the amateur level that you are as well at the moment. It's just it's a real family orientated, sort of friend orientated environment. So you do sort of get that. Whereas cricket, it does have that vibe, but much smaller. So you do notice if the group's split up, you don't sort of get that.
You got you're 11 out there, and it is quite an individual within within a team sort of sport. But I feel like you definitely don't have the numbers of weight that you do at a footy club. You definitely know after a game on a Saturday night, you got 3 or 4 teams there, and then a couple of women's sides in there, and the club's absolutely packed. Whereas you can have 5 or 6 cricket teams, and there's 4 blokes after the game because and I think as you would know, like, playing cricket is a 8 or 9 hour
day,
journey,
yeah.
so a lot of the time you finish up and it's like
you really want to hop in the car.
yeah,
and get home,
exactly.
Yep.
If you hang around for a beer or two, you might be copping a pretty big spray on the way home if you got a partner or something. But it's definitely footy's one where your time commitment is a lot less as well, so it becomes a bit easier on families and stuff as well.
100%. So going into sort of like choosing cricket as a pathway, sort of at what state did you sort of realise that someone came knocking? Was it like a scout that sort of said to you, hey, we don't mind what you've got to offer. Do you want to come down and train here? Or what team were you playing at the district level?
Bayswater Morley.
Bayswater Morley.
Yeah.
So you started with them in your juniors and then you kept on playing through all the way into the seniors?
Yeah, so I was 12 or whatever with Bayswater. When you sort of come into that district comp, it's like, they trial and you jump in and you get selected. And from there I basically was... and I was like an okay cricketer, same thing. I wasn't like absolutely outstanding, and I never was. Probably in my career, I just made the best out of what I was. But I think as an 18 or 19-year-old, I went from playing 4th grade to 1st grade in the same year, and my debut was a semi-final in 1st grade, and that was like throw in there, and I took 3 for and made 30 odd, and I'm no good with stick either, so that probably shows. But had a really good game, and that sort of to me was a bit of a light bulb moment of like, I could be I could be a bit of a sniffy if I continue to pursue this. And then the next year I had a really good season in A grade as a 19-year-old, and that's sort of all it can sometimes take, like your timing wise at that point. WA was sort of, I think it might have even been when Hoggy and a few of these guys were departing WA cricket as spinners, and they were looking to invest in, I guess, a bit of youth in there, and I just happened to get a contract that year, and that coincided with Justin Langer coming in as well. So I definitely got a trial by fire with that into the professional setup and learnt how to be, I guess, that sort of top level professional pretty much from the outset, because JL definitely wasn't, he wasn't one as is the media persona of him to muck around, and he drives a hard, definitely a hard line, that's for sure.
Did you have like a welcome to this level with him at all?
I did. What did I get sprayed about one day? I think I rocked up like a minute before we were about to start, and this was one of the early training sessions. We might have been down at Subi Floriat there, just one of the ovals, and basically I was like a minute before, and I was like, oh, thank God, like just got here on time. I'm not going to get sprayed. And then like he got us all in, and he's like, there was a couple of us that were around the same time getting there, and he's pulled us in. And he's like, all right, boys. He's like, we've got this on today, but before we do that, we're going to do, it was like 3 or 4 1Kers to start the session, because Liam and there was like a couple of us that were late. He goes, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late. And I was like, lesson learnt. So from there on, I was like, stickler for if someone tells me to be there at, 11 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 10:45, because otherwise, you'll end
leaving
up...
the house an hour early, basically.
Yeah, literally. And he, JL's, and I loved him as a coach because he does push those standards, and he really, I guess, instilled a lot of professional values and standards within myself. And but you got to learn the hard way sometimes. So he definitely made us learn the hard way a few times, and there was plenty of I would say punishment related bits and pieces that he would throw into you. He was definitely the old school mentality in that sense. But I learned my lesson with that one pretty quick.
I had like one, not really a run in, but like one experience of him showing those colours of his, and that was so my job was to set up sort of like the bibs, the trackers, the GPS, and all that out on the table, hand it out, water bottles and all that for the boys, and. I think from memory, it was like a training session. You just come off a loss in either I think it was a Sheffield Shield. You just come off a loss. You're going through some type of drill, and it was just like a throwing, catching drill, like sort of like a leader ball in a sense type of thing. It was maybe like 1 or 2 drop catches. Yeah, wasn't much, and I'm just sort of
looked pretty good from the outset.
From my view, I'm like, most of the
boys
time we're dropping every second ball in my book. But a couple of drop catches, and then I just hear like the whistle blow, and he's just calling you all in, and he's just like, gone on a bit of a rant, told you, like, what do you expect? Is this what we're going to do? We need to be at a higher level, yada, yada, yada. And he just yelled at me, not yelled, but like, Matty, set the cones up. Boys are doing sprints. And I've gone like, oh, shit, all right. So I've quickly run out with a little measuring wheel, measured out the distance I've got to do, come back in. I think Rob or was taking you through that. I've gone back to the table just trying to, like, keep my head low. And then whilst he's doing that, Jale started walking over to me. I'm going,
oh, no.
All right. And it's just like something switched. And he goes, so how you finding your time here, mate? Is it going all right? Yeah, well, really, really glad to have you down here. Thanks very much for doing all this today. Really appreciate it. And then walk back over to where you
and you were like, oh, no.
I've just had two different levels of him. Right?
Yeah, he definitely was like that, though, which is, I guess, a positive. He would always go out of his way to have a conversation with someone who they've either brought in externally or, just basically if you're not pissing him off, you're okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're good. No, he I think at that time for WA cricket was exactly what we all needed as a group, and he transformed WA cricket into a powerhouse that I guess you're still seeing elements of it today.
Yeah, 100%. They're doing so much great, and even when he managed to get his way up into the Australian team too, you could see that he came in at a time they really did need that as well. So, yeah, only great things to say about him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Apart from the sprays you would have copped.
A few.
So when you sort of got yourself into the WA team, like, was it a bit of a slow process to get your first game? Were you sort of on the sidelines for a bit, or did you find that they sort of pushed you in there quite early?
Yeah, look, I definitely had probably a year of sort of a bit of a slow burn, and it was one of those hard ones where, like, second 11 is sort of your next step down from state cricket, and I was going really, really well in second 11 cricket, and just as good as I could have hoped, and and then all of a sudden you're getting noticed a bit more, and you're sort of going in as 12th man and getting selected in some of these squads, but was never actually getting a game, and it's almost like, for me, I was trying to just keep myself just be grateful you're in this opportunity,
side,
and it was a bit like that at that stage. I was so.
How old were you at the time when you were sort of in there?
I would have been 21, 22.
Okay, yeah, so still pretty young.
Yeah, still pretty young, and I think if anything, it was more, I was in awe of that you're in a setup with all these guys, and I think I focused more on that rather than the fact that I wasn't playing. I was just like, this is pretty cool. I'm getting to be in a change room with Sean Marsh, and at that time it was like Adam Voges and these guys, and it was just and you're going on trips away with them and stuff, and it's like almost it's not a holiday, but it's you're getting to live out some of these things that you wanted to do for, I guess, your whole life. But for me it was a little bit of a burn that first year or so. I was like thereabouts, and which was, for me, I was like, I didn't think I was going to be thereabouts anyway, so it was almost a bonus in the first year, and I was about to get picked there was a Gabba game, it was the last game of the season, couldn't make finals, and they were basically like, mate, you're going to play, I reckon, you're thereabouts, and I was like, oh, cool. So mum and dad flew out to the Gabba, we rocked up, and I'm like, oh, there's a bit of weather around, so we're just going to wait and see here and wait till the next day so it's gone from you're in. I'm like, mum and dad, get over here. We, on debut, get over, to the day before. Oh, bit of weather around, might be a bit green. And at that point, Jai Richardson had just come into, he was in the squad as well. Same thing, had just been picked. So he hadn't debuted either. So one of us was going to debut. And yeah, basically we've rocked up the next day. It'd been bucketing down, as you do get in Queensland. You get these sort of torrential rain downpours, and the covers had been on for 24 hours, and they've pulled it off, and it's this absolute green top, which doesn't suit spin bowling. I'm looking for a bit of a drier setup, and and basically it was. Sorry, mate. You've done everything to earn your spot here, but we're just going to have to go with the conditions. And Jai Richardson's having a pretty handy career. So when you look back on it, you're like, oh, fair enough. They gave him a crack here.
Can't be too bad.
Yeah.
Did you walk over the pitch going, there's a few dusty spots?
Yeah, I was like, I wonder, we might be able to get the mower onto this and just take a bit of a layer off. But I definitely had, that was my first probably more on a disappointment point of view, where you're like, you sort of built yourself up a little bit to play, and then you're like, you're not going to play, but then it's forgotten pretty quick, and I'm not one to, I guess,
you wait on the next opportunity.
And same thing. You're like, I'm involved in a awesome squad. We had a win that game as well. I think it might have been Adam Voger's last actual game with WA as well. So plenty of positives out of it. Not one to sort of hang your head on too much. And you go have a few beers with all those guys afterwards as well, which is really good. But yeah, I think the year after I ended up debuting and took 5 on debut, and it was pretty awesome.
Oh, jeez, you've already got straight into what I want to ask then. So the debut experience, it's obviously been one to remember.
Yeah. I look, we got absolutely pumped, so
You don't need to remember that part.
Yeah, so that's a negative, but yeah, took 5 on debut, bowled plenty of overs, got some really, I guess, top quality players out, and I think if you take 5 wickets on debut with the state, you get your name on like this sort of board. So I was like, can't take that away from me now. So I thought that was really cool. At the Wacker,
so your name will always be
up there. Can't go away. And I think I was like the first spinner in like 80 years or something to get on there for like 5 on debut. The previous person to me was Cam Green, which was up in or down in Hobart. He took that on debut as well. So I think for once again, like, you lose the game and it does take a little bit of a shine off it. But I think at that stage for me, I was like, just like, don't bullshit, really.
Take the opportunity. You've done all you possibly could, really.
And look, that was really great. And an introduction to state level cricket was awesome to be able to do that. And it just, once again, like sort of reassures you that you can play at that level and do well and succeed. So it was good. And it was in Bankstown, out of all places in New South Wales or in Sydney. Bit of a shocker spot, but it was good fun.
Oh, mate, that's such a cool experience to even have that opportunity. Like, that was always sort of my goal in life, to get up to that level. But I always blame the injuries, not the lack of skill. The injuries did it to me. So cool to hear your experience and that you got to manage to live out that boyhood dream in a sense. Your time at WA, like you've had the opportunity to debut. You've had a few more games and all that, but my understanding is you ended up making your way over to Adelaide later on throughout your career. But did you ever get the opportunity to play the BBL in for WA, or was it never sort of on the cards?
No, I probably, like, at that time, Brad Hogg and I think it was Michael Beer was the other spinner and Ash Nagar as well was the other one.
Yeah.
So they had going too. Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, they had all these really talented spinners in the Scorchers squad, and my only real exposure to it was that I was helping out like net bowler, playing a couple of practice games. But that season is the season that I did. So I guess from a timeline point of view, debut WA, did well on debut, and then later that year comes along like the Big Bash time, and it was. I think it was a couple of weeks before the season, and we had this Scorchers, like they play this. It's almost like a bit of a trial game, but it's a bit of fun. Yeah. And they split sort of like a group of us players, a few young ones, a few like experienced ones, and you also have all these older ex-players. So like had Mike Hussey, Justin Langer played, cool. These sort of old guys, and it's almost like a bit of a festival game. So we played that, and I got absolutely smoked. So I think Mitch Marsh hit me for 26 or 27 off my over. And it was like 40-metre boundaries, tiny boundaries, and he's just like mishitting me for 6. Like I think he hit me for 1.
He could forward defence one that's probably gone.
And he was like, that's literally what it was. And he smoked me, and I just couldn't bowl anywhere without going the journey. And he was apologising to me on the way down. He's like, mate, I didn't get any of that, and it still went for 6. I'm sorry. And it was like bowling like with this Optus storm breeze that was like yesterday, and I just got smoked. But and a few of my mates were like, there was a bit of footage of it, so I was just taking the piss out of, which is great, but swings and roundabouts. What actually happened is the day after I got a call from Adelaide. And their spinner, John Holland, who played a bit for Test cricket, played a lot for Victoria, very talented spin bowler. He'd had a foot injury which ruled him out for the Big Bash season, so they wanted to fly. Well, they flew 4 of us over to Adelaide for a trial game, basically just to, here's your audition. You got 2 games to play. We're going to pick the best spinner out of it, and whoever we pick is going to be, in our squad. So How I did actually get over there, though, and my name came up, was obviously not from that game because I got absolutely smoked. But it was Josh Inglis who plays, for WA now in one-day cricket.
Yep.
He at the time was in a sort of Cricket Australia sort of talent camp thing with Brad Hodge, who at the time was the captain of Strikers, and he basically said to Hodgie, he's like, mate, Hodgie's like, oh, do you know any spinners around? We've just had one go injured. And he's like, oh, like Liam's gone really well. Like you should have a look at him and bring him over. So I owe Josh Inglis firstly as he's managed to get me on the flight over there because, they obviously, as I said, they didn't look at that Mitch Marsh bowling performance. And then, I had a couple of trial games with him with the full. So basically you're playing with the current Strikers squad.
Yep.
Going all right. And I bowled all right the first game, like steady, took a couple of wickets, and the spinners around me were steady as well. They weren't like, they had a couple of local ones, and you're sort of like, oh, you're coming up against locals, which sometimes does, doesn't work in your favour because generally speaking, they've got a bit of rapport with the guys and they try to keep similar to what Scorchers do. They try to keep the system, you want local players playing for your local Big Bash team in Adelaide. I like that as well. But I think the second game I bowled like this lovely ball to Travis Head, like in sort of like beat the outside edge, hit top of off stump, and it was like just an absolute seed in this practice
Hold on
game.
to that for the rest of your life,
and I was like, and I think that was the end of my spell, and I was done, and I was like, oh, it could be a sniff here because like that was a seed, and I bowled well those two games, and then like sort of a couple of hours after we all wrapped up and done, they sort of took me aside and they're like, hey, look, we're keen to have you on board. Are you interested? And I was like, bloody oath. I'll come and play for you. And then, that's it, basically how that journey with Adelaide started for me. And I will say I did have to have an awkward conversation with Justin Langer because I was like, I had to call him and I was like, mate, look, I've got this offer from Adelaide. I don't have anything with Scorchers at this time either, but those who would know is at that time, basically, if you were WA, you're WA. You don't. JL's very, WA and that's all you are. And he was like, I will say, he was happy for me, but he always, like, it's almost like mate, that's really good, great news, like you just weigh this decision up and think if it's the best thing for you.
Okay.
And I'm like, so is that like a yes or a no to go? He's like, you just do what you think's best for you, mate. And I'm like, all right. I was like, at this stage, I don't have a contract with Scorchers and, I've got this Strikers offer. So I was like, I think the best thing is for me to go here. So, but it all obviously worked out magnificently for me in that respect. And first game of the season, I made my debut for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, in saying that too, so WA itself, like that's separate to the Big Bash League, isn't it? So you can play for West Australian cricket team, but you don't necessarily assigned onto the Scorchers. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, so separate contracts, everything's separate. In theory, you could, anyone at any point can be, play for WA for state cricket, and then for Big Bash, you can be Melbourne, anywhere else. It just tends to be that WA are sort of one of those teams where everyone's homebred, where you tend to see it less so in some of the other states. It's probably just one of those ones where at that time no one had really left WA to go and play Big Bash elsewhere in sort of my situation where you're also contracted with WA. So it was definitely an awkward conversation.
I can imagine,
for sure. And at that point, I'm pretty young, and jail's obviously pretty scary. So, I
couldn't imagine having to have that conversation on the phone with him.
Oh, well, you got scared when he was walking over to say, how's your day, mate?
Done anything. I will admit, I was pretty happy when I saw that you had been selected by them because two players that stick out to me from that side during my time, like doing my placement there, was yourself and Darcy Short. And I do remember I had to do a couple of conditioning sessions for yourself and with Darcy as well. And I distinctly remember a conversation with Darcy, and he was saying like, oh, mate, like he had to get a certain time in his 2K'er, and he fell about 20, 30 seconds short. And I could just see the disappointment on his face. And he's obviously a skillful player, but he's not meeting the requirement needed for there. And I've got nothing much to say except for, mate, like, you're doing all the right things, just keep going. And
20, 30 seconds is a fair bit to shave off, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fair amount to knock off, but I didn't say that. But, like, you're doing all the right things. It's eventually going to pay off, and you're going to get there. You're going to get there for sure. And fast forward, like, 2 years later, he's been picked up by the Hurricanes, and he's ended up being one of the best players. I think he's like the leading run scorer for about 2 seasons in a row or something.
Oh, yeah, well, his Big Bash career, I think his numbers speak for itself, and he's outstanding from a player point of view. But he was another one who had to have a pretty tough conversation with JL. And sorry, mate, at that point, you guys haven't given me a contract, and I think they wanted him to actually stay, and they were going to use him as a replacement player, but. Hurricanes.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because like you've definitely got a spot lined up with them, or do you want to hang around and just be loyal to that club?
And you're throwing, it's 40-50 grand that you're sort of talking like from a money point of view. And at that point, if like for him, he wouldn't have had a state contract, I don't think, at that point. So it's your livelihood that you're sort of asking to have to consider as well. And it's such a hard thing. Like everyone wants to be loyal. There's no, I think there's no person that truly, I don't think would want to be loyal, but there's so many factors involved in, especially professional sport, where you have to make some tough decisions with that. And sometimes, you just got to be a bit selfish with it.
Yeah, 100%. It's worked out. You've both had great experiences. You've both gone on to do some amazing things. And as for yourself, like when you've been picked up by Adelaide, Strikers, like BBL, watching it on TV, it just looks like an absolute like festival for about 3 months straight, just like the whole competition itself. So what was like your first experience going out into the field? Like, is it sellout crowd? How did it sort of feel?
Yeah, my debut was Adelaide Oval, and I think we had 45, 50,000 people there, and I'll shit myself because, like, it's almost like a bit, it's a blur, that first game, because it's just, you're so, like, heightened with emotions and sort of nerves and all these, like, you're like, will I do well? Will I not do well? And it's not as if, like, even Shield cricket making your debut, like, that you're not really under the pump that much, and you've got about 5 people in the crowd watching you, whereas all of a sudden, Adelaide Oval, you're playing in front of a crowd that is 40-odd thousand more people than I've ever had to experience in my life. And, it was, look, I was fortunate enough to have a good game and play. I think I played every game except for one that season in my first year, and it was just an awesome experience. That I feel like each game you got a bit more confident with yourself, and just the same again, the fact that you can belong at that level and go really well. But at the same time, you had that element like on field and training, and it was such like you're in this awesome environment, and Adelaide was lovely for that. The other part is you had off-field where I was staying in a hotel with 14 other blokes that were all from other states, or, you had some that had flown over internationally as well. And that to me was just as valuable as an experience, because I'm going out to dinner with like Brad Hodge, Matt Short, Kieran Pollard was in there. You had all these guys that like you see on TV or you'd never even met from other states. And you're just going out to have basically, because we're all in the same setup, is you're going out to have basically every meal together. You're going to Nando's together for a feed, and there's all these things where you just you can talk, a bit of rubbish and a bit of smack just with each other on a day-to-day basis, and build some really close connections for 2 or 3 months. And that was almost as valuable as an experience and as much of a memory for me as some of the on-field stuff, because you never get to do any of that again, let alone in life, spend 2 months away living in a hotel with a couple of, bunch of blokes that, all we shared sort of goal. And, but you can have a few beers and a bit of fun with it as well.
Oh, mate, it's such a cool experience. And I'm sure like you've got so many stories from your time in there. How many years did you stick with the Strikers for?
I think I was 6 in the end. 6 or 7 years there. And, I was grateful to get 1. I was grateful to get 2, and it's sort of, I just rode the wave from there. And
was it yearly contracts you were getting?
I had a couple of dual year ones, and my first one was like a year, second one was a year, and then a couple of dual after then. I think I was just grateful to be playing with them. I had, I guess, one opportunity to be able to move elsewhere at some point, but I did stick down that loyalty path, and I'm grateful for it as well, because there's a lot of blokes that I enjoyed. What probably was part of the reason I stayed, in terms of for me was that off-field aspect where, you know, you're with a bunch of guys, they actually enjoy just as much hanging out off the field as on the field. So, yeah, it was good fun.
No, it's so cool to sort of even consider, like, just having the opportunity to be out there. With your time there, like, you're playing alongside some big names. One in particular, is it Rashid Khan? Rashid Khan,
yes.
You play alongside. So, like, you're playing along these players that they're well known. They're kind of like celebrities of the cricketing world, like sporting world in a nutshell. How did you feel sort of being, like, you've had that experience at WA, playing like with Mitch Marsh, Sean Marsh, all of those guys, but in comparison to being on the field, BBL, full crowds, you're up against these big, like, well, let's say, celebrities. What was that sort of like, in a sense?
Oh, yeah, well, Rash is probably the number one example of someone who had, you know, his millions of Instagram followers, and he's basically everywhere you go in sort of some of the streets, he was getting pointed out, and people are trying to take a photo with him or whatever. And his, you know, year on year, he'd just come back and he's got an extra 2 million followers, and like every single year. And it was funny as well, every year he comes back with just a slightly nicer pair of clothes on him as well. Like, he'd, by the end of it, he's wearing Gucci everything, and, you know, he's walking around with 15 grand just on him as a, you know, a day-to-day basis. But yeah, look, you sometimes, I think you are a bit almost in awe of how, you know, big some of these guys are, and how you know, how celebrity like they are. But at the end of the day, they're actually just completely normal blokes. And that's the beauty of it as well. There, you know, we're not talking about, you know, on a you go, as I said, have Nando's dinner with them, and you're sitting in a restaurant paying $30 for a meal, when some of these guys are earning, you know, ridiculous amounts of money. They're just normal guys, and we're all had the same goal of wanting to go there and play some, you know, some really good cricket and hopefully perform well for Adelaide. And at the same time, they also go through the same sort of situations where, you know, you're relocating to somewhere, there's a bit of anxiety in that. You're in a new town, in a new space and you're taken out of your life. Some people, you know, you've got families, you've got bits and pieces that you're having to sort of leave behind for this short period. So, you know, they want that sort of emotional, you know, let's catch up and have a bit of support there. Because, yeah, if you lock yourself in the room, especially when you're not going well, it's a bit of a bad cycle to get into. So we almost made a bit of a habit of making sure we have dinner together, even if it was, you know, everyone, you have 10 blokes getting Uber Eats from 10 different places. We just made sure we, did things together as much as we could. And I think it just offsetted the fact that, you know, even during COVID and a few of those times, you couldn't get back to Christmas. I couldn't get back into Perth for 3 weeks after the end of, I can't remember what season it was, but yeah, one of the COVID seasons, basically when WA were locking borders. And I was like, I live here and I can't get back in. And so it's crazy times. But yeah, just having those guys there as, I guess, a bit of extra support was really nice. Yeah,
it sort of made you like more as one, and that no one was better than others in a sense, making that team environment just more inclusive in a sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Best way of describing it.
Oh, yeah, like there was no egos or bits and pieces in that scenario. Everyone was sort of on the same
Which
page.
Which is hard at that level too, because you know there are some players that are like extremely talented.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I think there's blokes out there that do have a bit of the ego, and you know, it is what it is, and that's part of professional sport and that landscape. I was probably really lucky where in Adelaide we didn't have a lot of that, and everyone's sort of, you know, there's a few big dogs out there, like, and when I say big dogs, like Peter Siddle was an example, like. He just knows everyone. So, like, we'd be going somewhere and he's like, mate, I can go and, you know, do we want to go out for dinner here? And, you know, I know the chef and we'll go there and do that. And it's all paid for. And it's like, it's really, I think I do have a good story about him because we went to McGill Estate, which is basically Penfold's restaurant in Adelaide. And Penfold's, you know, expensive. It's the wine and the Grange and all that, and they do this like 10-course degustation. He knew the chef there. He's like, boys, there's 3 of us. We're going to go to dinner here. You know, if you're keen, let me know. I was like, love my red wine and bits and pieces. I was like, oh yeah, let's go have a crack. Wasn't entirely sure. Like, it's one of those things, he's inviting you. You don't ask too many questions. You just say, you know, let's go. I'll go wherever you want me to go, mate. And then, yeah, we rocked up and we've got this set course and we're, you know, feeding out all these like, caviar dishes and bits and pieces. I'm like, oh, this
finer things in life, eh?
I was like, but it must be pretty expensive. And then we started bringing out a bit of Grange and all these things, which they're $900 bottles of red wine, and I was like, are we paying for this here? And I had Billy Stanlake next to me, and I was like, mate, I can't afford this. I was like, I really hope that he's paying for this, because if I knew that this was what we're getting into, then I don't know if I could commit to it, because he earns a lot more than us. And then a few. Might have been a couple of dishes later. He's like, boy, just letting you know, like, this is actually all, like, he owes me a favour, so he's doing this for me. And I'm like, thank God. And I tapped Billy. I was like, mate, yeah, no chance. Because I think it was, it might have been a $1,200, $1,300 meal, which you might save for your 50-year wedding anniversary or something. But no, you get a few blokes like that who just, they're well connected, and I guess you take the, go along for the ride with some of that stuff.
100% you would,
So,
yeah. Take the perks when they come up.
Bloody oath. So I was all for that for sure.
Well, what was your return favour? Did you take them out all to Macca's, HJ's or something special
like that? No, yeah, I was in it for the vibes. I just throw a bit of make sure I provide some good company and a few laughs around the table. But I definitely. No, I'm not as well connected as some of those guys at all. So, but that's the same thing. Like, they're all well connected, and some of those guys are, but they're also, they like shared experiences and doing all that. It's no fun going and having a Penfolds dinner by yourself. So he wants to bring us all on the journey.
I think it'd also be the fact of, like, because Peter Siddle himself, he's had an amazing career.
Yeah.
Australian, BBL, still playing to this day.
Reverse ages, I reckon. If you look at him,
he's still going.
Oh, he's definitely reverse aging.
The hair's a bit questionable with the bleach blonde hair.
It keeps getting lighter. It's almost gone from like yellow to now it's like silver or whatever it is now. I
can't quite figure it out, but it's working for him. But I'm sure, like, him being able to take you all for that experience, knowing that you probably never, or if you have done it before, that's amazing, but you probably never had sort of that experience of someone else taking you there and having it. So they want to share that with you, and that just shows, like, the whole camaraderie around that club. Like, I want to share this all with you. I want you to all experience it, and at the same time, like, you're all family and going through it all together. Yeah,
and that's definitely what it felt like. You're almost like a little family for 2 months, and I reckon that can feed pretty well into on-field success as well. And at that point, it did for us. So
it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
And before we get into that, so you've spent so long at the Strikers. You've had amazing time. You've been out there. You got to sort of get a few wins on the board. What year were you in when you sort of had the chance of going, oh, well, we're a chance of playing finals here and maybe even having a crack at the title? Like, were you a couple of years into this point?
Yeah, I think it might have been my fourth year or third year there.
So you're still playing good form at this stage?
Well, I felt like I was in form anyway, but I actually wasn't playing. And the beauty of having Rashid Khan there, from he's such an amazing cricketer. The only negative side of that is that we're both the same discipline, being a leg spin bowler. So unfortunately, with having the number one leg spin T20 bowler in your team, is that you go to second drop and I sat and I ran a lot of drinks and I was an absolute expert at mixing the sort of hydrolyte ratio. So I just become really an elite 12th man for that entire season. And I wasn't actually playing that much cricket when we happened to, we were definitely a sniff through the season. We had a pretty strong team and sort of, I think we ended up finishing. Yeah, we finished second, I think, from memory, or even maybe we did finish top. But we're in those top couple, and we were sort of building really nicely into the season. Had a couple of guys come back with Alex Carey and Travis Head as well. So, it just so happened that year we won the chocolates. Yeah.
Is that the same year that Travis Head smacked that?
No. I think that was that was a couple of years earlier, but that comes up on my feed all the time. And also, that is such outrageous batting.
He's unbelievable. What a way to bring in the new year.
Yeah, and the crowd as well. Like, those New Year's games were absolutely, they were sold out. They were, you're playing in front of 50-odd thousand people, I think. I wasn't even there that game. That was, I think, the year before I came, and wow. I love watching that highlight package. I reckon it's just unbelievable hitting from him, and he hadn't even played for Australia at that stage. He was young. He was just a living off basically no fear of what could happen, and ended up being one of them.
He takes
top
me
knocks.
for the type of bloke that's like he looks like he's great at cricket, but he just looks like a Resi's footy player.
Oh yeah,
just the look about him, the vibe he's got, and how just relaxed he is. You just go,
I think that's
how are
what
you
he
an
wants.
elite player?
Yeah, I think that's look. The look fits his personality to an absolute T. He's relaxed, he's chilled, he's grew up in, I think, Gawler, which is 2 hours outside of Adelaide. So it's basically the Gero equivalent of Adelaide. And
makes sense.
Yeah, and he's got a bit of that about him. So he's, just a country sort of kid who's unbelievably talented, and he's not a kid anymore. I think Travis Head was my age, under 19s and under 17s and all that. Yep. So he... he dominated all those underage things. But same thing. He looked like he was a, sort of a podgy little, country kid with a mustache, and you sort of look at him going, this guy can't be any good, Ganny, and he'd absolutely put you to the sword. Yeah. So, I think it probably helps him, the fact that the way he plays is with such freedom and openness. His personality suits that. He probably doesn't put too much pressure on himself to perform, and I think it shows when guys don't do that, they tend to get better performances.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. And for yourself, I can't believe I didn't even ask this before, but you've obviously spent some time at Adelaide, but you still got a verse WA.
Yes,
and obviously JL was still head coach of that. Did you have any sort of words out in the field when you sort of came across each other? Was there any sort of not so much violence, but there was a bit of banter between you all?
Oh, look, I think they smoked us in the first game I came back and played, which was my second ever Big Bash game. Come back when the cricket was still at the Wacker.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do remember about that game is I got absolutely sprayed from everyone in the so I was on the boundary line or whatever. Blokes who just spraying you, and they sort of some people know you're from Perth and some people don't, but I was just copping some absolute sprays out there. And the Wacker, the boundary line is so close to where you are. If you're at the Optus Stadium now, you're so far away, you can't hear it's all crowd noise, really. It's no actual specific comments, but I definitely heard a few comments that were coming my way when I was out there, and blokes yelling at you traitor and all this stuff, and I'm like, I didn't even have a contract here. I wasn't going to play, so I'm like, it's but it was all civil in that respect coming back here, and I had a few mates that came down and had a watch as well, so that was nice to go and play in front of them, even though we got smoked, and but it was good fun. Yeah,
I imagine it would be. So then, going back to talk of that year where you sort of went on to win the title and all that, you're struggling to get your spot, obviously, because such a big name's in the way. At what stage did you sort of go? Well, did you get the tap on the shoulder, going, I might be coming back into the side here? Was it that he was on a?
He had to go to international duties.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right.
So basically, I was I think it must have been they've released their fixtures midway through the tournament for Afghanistan, and at that point, international cricket, if you get called up, it's non-negotiable. You have to go and do it.
Is that in your contract?
Well, it's just, I think, the sort of international cricket overrides any sort of domestic cricket, so it happens a fair bit. But that stage it was basically if we get to the grand final, Rash can't play, and you're going to play. And it's I was I haven't played a game all season, and so I'm just going to come in for the grand final. And they're like, yep. And I'm like, cool, all right. So
that's one way to
basically,
do it.
we got all the way. And this is the other thing as well. Rashid, at that point, was winning us games single-handedly. He was that good. He was just an unbelievable bowler. And he's just a phenomenal bowler. He just can tear teams apart. He got us to the grand final very clearly. And then, there was basically they're tapping you on the shoulder and saying, you're in, you're going to be playing no matter what. So I knew a few games out that I was in, and it's almost like that. There's so much joy that we're making grand final. Then it was oh fuck, I've actually got to play here.
I'm on now.
I'm going to have to be ready. But it was a really hard, I guess, mentally to sort of get yourself ready for that sort of scenario, because you just haven't played a single game all season. So I haven't played any cricket games in 2.5 months. I've just been running water on the pine and, trying to do my best.
But you've been doing the parts of like the net sessions. You've been out there training. You're doing all those parts for the team. So you're contributing. You're just not out in the field.
Correct. And I think the big one for me was like at that point, I felt really confident in what I was doing in the nets and I was bowling really well. And I was like, geez, some of these blokes, like, I'm bowling really well from the nets and like beating them in the contest. They're dominating out there. They're going really well. So I'm like, if I'm going all right in here and they're going all right out there, surely I can go all right out there as well. But, I sort of try to use that mentality as a bit of a driver for me to be like, all right, when I do get my opportunity, I've been going, I'll be fine. I've been going really well in the nets. And, when it did come on that day, fortunately for us is Jake Weatherall made 100 and absolutely smoked him in one of the great knocks of Big Bash as well, and we had 210 on the board, or 220 to defend. I'm like, this is pretty nice, coming into a game when you've got this many on the board. So
a couple of 1 or 2 sixes in my overs.
Oh, exactly, right, that's it. Yeah, I can get smoked and still go right. So I definitely in my head I was like, well, you know what, like the pressure for me was alleviated a little bit from that as well. So I think I had the best of the fact that I could rely on that a little bit in my sense. And fortunately I bowled really well. And it was a really nice moment because I think, you're home ground, everyone's behind you and all that. And the crowd probably just as much as I knew that I'm coming in for my first game and there's going to be a lot of pressure on me to perform because I've just stepping in the shoes of what is been our best player all season in the same discipline. So there's like, they're like, who's this bloke? And it was really good because basically every over I bowled, like the crowd's clapping you and getting behind you and like, when they're cheering you in between overs and stuff. And
you got to keep like a real level head.
I'm just like, all right, I've got a couple overs to go. And then, once I finished my fourth over, it was really nice. Like you go down to the boundary and everyone's like clapping you down there. So I was like, and at that point, we basically you were pretty much home there. I think it was like, it was relief in a lot of it, but there was definitely a bit that went behind it into that, and it was great to get the win, one game in the season, and it was a grand final.
Such a cool experience, like just to win the BBL, like is it as much fun as it looks? Running out into that field when you've won it and the final ball's been bowled, you're running out, you're celebrating with the boys and the whole crowd. Like I can't imagine. Was that at Adelaide Oval?
Yeah, Adelaide Oval. Like that
would have been rocking. Like
it was insane. I think it was one of those where we it wasn't like a really like high tense contest for maybe 3/4 of the game. Like there was a little bit of tension when they went all right. They were going all right with the bat, sort of a little bit and. We sort of pegged it back a bit through the middle and like I think the last sort of 5 overs it was like party time with everywhere. Like we were on the field and the crowd's going off and then after the game it was just like a bit of a blur to be honest. Like it just I know you're running around, you're high-fiving people, you're high-fiving the crowd, you're signing stuff, you're going and doing interviews and stuff as well, and it was just the whole experience was just I guess very surreal, especially for me who I'm coming in and almost jumping on the coattails of everyone else, and they put so much work in the season. But
did your part.
And that's it. And look, whether I was playing or not playing, I think that environment where we all wanted each other to do well, and we're all sort of because there's another 8 to 10 blokes that are sitting on the sidelines, not even involved in 12-man duties and stuff. So like your squad's always there, and you're obviously going to have a lot of guys in a variety of different situations and emotions, but it all was good because we all sort of get together after the game and spot on.
No, that's such awesome. Do you remember it all really well? Like, is it just set in your brain really well, or did you feel that it was a bit of a take the moment for granted type of thing?
Look, probably a little bit of take it for granted. Like I'm not like I don't get too. I have a great memory sometimes as well, so that probably plays a bit of it. But I'm not, I probably don't reflect as much as what I should, and that's just I think I live quite present with a lot of stuff that I do, and that's maybe one of it. But it is good to even just like talk in this situation and talk a little bit about it because I don't do it that much. It's at the time you sort of don't want to. It's almost like a sense of arrogance. You don't want to talking about it too much. But I think sometimes people are just curious, and that I think is you got to remember as well. It's not you can talk about it. It's good fun. And but yeah, for me, I think I probably it all does seem like a bit of a blur. I remember bits and pieces of moments like the crowd clapping you and all things. Like there's some really nice moments out of that. But yeah, the whole, I guess, 24 hours and lead up is because you're so like high energy. It's almost at the end of it, it's like you're done.
Yeah,
sort of
anxiety.
It just washes out of you, and then you almost like you need days to recover because not just a hangover, but it's a bit of mental energy that comes out of you as well at the end of it.
I think like it's really fascinating hearing your version of like winning something like that because like having Hoggy on here, he obviously has won quite a few with Scorchers. He's won like World Cups and all that, and the energy and all that he spoke about was really, really like exciting and like it's such a cool experience. But he's done it so many times that it sort of came off as if not that it numbs you, not that it's like a numb feeling at all, but it's just you know what to expect each time. Yeah. Whereas yourself, like this is your one shot at it. Yep. You've managed to go in. You put all the hard yards in to get yourself to here, and you've still got to walk away with the title as well. Even though you only played the one game for a year, but still, it's such a cool thing. So just hearing the joy that comes out of you when you're talking about it, and that's why I asked, like, if you had that moment to sort of be out in the field, like look around, going like, "God, this is pretty cool." Like,
I definitely
do that. Yeah.
No, I definitely had an opportunity to do that on but same thing though. I think you just don't reflect on it enough. Where you're like,
well, you got a game to play at the end of the day.
Yeah, and also even down the track, it's almost and unfortunately the like with all the joy and beauty it is of Big Bash and that period of 2 or 3 months that you're away sort of I guess with a group, 2 days later you're back training with WA. So like you almost like have to flick the switch again and you're back into just state comp and they don't.
Do they welcome you back?
Yeah,
pretty well,
they're all like there's a bit of well. They congratulate you for sure. But they don't want to sit there and talk about how good Adelaide strikers were, do they? When most of them play for Scorchers. So, it definitely that experience tends to it doesn't probably last. You win a local footy trip. A local footy Amos grand final, and you spend the next 2 weeks partying, and you go to the I was about to say some blokes keep going, but you ride that almost like you go into the pub. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so on. So, you don't quite get that experience, which can sometimes mean you tend to just, it falls out of your memory pretty quick. But
yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, as I said, good to reflect in situations like this.
No, it's so, as I said, it's such a cool thing. Like being a massive cricket fan myself, always wanted to have that experience. Hearing it from someone else that's actually got the opportunity, it's so cool. And I'm little part of me, a little bit jealous, but very proud at the same time. So well done on that, mate.
Thank you.
So your time at Adelaide, like you've done 6 seasons there in total, and you've obviously going back to this to WA at the same time. Like your career is always jumping between the two. How much longer after winning that title did you stay at the Strikers, and then after that, did you go straight back to WA, or was it sort of the time in that level was almost over?
Yeah, I think so. I must have had 2 or 3 seasons post-win.
Yep.
And then same with WA. I think I had 2 or 3 seasons after then, and my final Big Bash year I was non-state contracted. So I sort of went off state contract, had 1 more year Big Bash, and then that was sort of it for me. And from there, it really it was a pretty... throughout my entire playing journey, I was pretty realistic with how long or not long I was going to play. When you're going on 1 or 2 year contracts, you're always in the back of your head
this could be my last
got to
year,
have something there. So studied, made sure I did my I was doing Bachelor of Business, HR and Marketing, so made sure I smashed that out, had that to fall back on, and then I did a little bit of work just through either the sort of insurance and risk stuff and a bit of marketing when I was still playing to some degree, especially in that last year where I only just had Big Bash. So yeah, for me, I was a good player, but I wasn't I'm never going to, be playing this for my entire life and being able to retire on my salaries that I was getting. So I was quite realistic with that, which I think to me helped that transition coming out of professional sport, because it's
it was never really just thrown in your face oh, see you later. Thanks for your time.
Oh, look, it does happen pretty quick in the scheme of really you're sort of might be a sniff to lose my contract here, and then, you know, gets to sort of that April time, and that's when they do their contracts, and it's like, oh, sorry, mate, unlucky, like, you know, this has happened, and this is why, and they sort of give you a bit of rundown. And the 2 times that I lost my contract with Adelaide and then with WA, they were both, for me, quite, like, I understood it. Yeah, I was you know, I'm not too, I'm not bitter at all about those situations, and I understand with, like, that sort of scenario, I'm quite a realist in that respect.
That's
I'm
good,
like, I see why we're doing it. It sucks, but, you know, that is completely fine. And you sort of, for me, it was like grateful to have 6 or 7 years as a professional cricketer, so it was good. But yeah, I think both those 2 scenarios, I wasn't sitting there going, I felt hard done by completely. Like I sort of saw there was a reason for it.
Yeah, it was never sort of just like you were out the door, see you later. You sort of just went, look, I've given my all at this. It's been a bit unfortunate at times, but really I see where it's all at, and I'm ready to move on from here.
Oh, look, I think
was it hard to sort of see that chapter sort of closing?
Oh, look, it was in some degree. With same thing, like you built some, like, you know, you used to going and spending November, December, Jan in Adelaide with, you know, your mates and those guys, and you sort of, all of a sudden you're in that environment and then you're out of it, and it can happen, it does happen quite quick. So there was a lot of stuff where I was like, this is like quite hard to deal with, because you just, you know, naturally all of a sudden I've got to go 9 to 5 job and bits and pieces. So there's that transition as well. But I think for me at that point, I was like, I'd done it for 6 or 7 years, and I probably, from a I guess just a career point of view, I was quite content of what I've done, and I was happy with some of the achievements I got to do, and some of the experiences. But I was ready. COVID was quite draining. You know, you're getting locked out of your state, and you know, it's a hard one. So I was like, get to spend a Christmas at home this year. Like, you know, you sort of look at some of the positives that I guess you got your mate's wedding in November that you can go to all of a sudden.
Yeah, true.
So, like, there's
the
a
amount
few,
of things you would have sacrificed.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, you missed a lot of weddings, missed like a few Christmases and stuff in there, and I was like, a bit of silver lining is that you actually get to all of a sudden probably reconnect in some of those areas where you just naturally, you know, either a lot of my mates and majority of my mates are non-professional cricketers or sportsmen. So, you know,
so you just walk straight back into that
group.
Yeah,
so it's like, you know, they're always ones where you're on completely different timelines of and life. You know, they're going to work 9 to 5, and I'm away in Adelaide, you know, playing cricket. So it's very hard to line up sometimes. So that was definitely a fortunate thing to have. Yeah.
So you've sort of come back to. You stayed in WA, you've come back to a bit of normality in a sense, getting back into working force and all that. So what was sort of the career path once the cricket sort of came to an end? Like you've still kept playing cricket, I'm assuming?
Yep. So I played Bayswater and Morley, my local district club, and then recently went to Wembley, just same thing, work-life balance, family balance, all these things. And then, footy, I went straight back into footy, played for Kingsway, won an A-grade flag, and I was right back on the train of that as well. So, I'd definitely been waiting to jump back into footy. So that was another positive. I was like, I hadn't played footy for 6 or 7 years. I was like, oh, how good's this? Like, I get to go and play footy again with my mates that, you know, who I'd been playing junior footy and stuff with. And then, it was awesome. But I went straight into basically sort of the HR field. So HR at Cedar, which is a local sort of sport curriculum-based school, just they're spread all around Perth.
Okay,
But year 11 and 12 only, and that was really great. Spent a few years there, and now I'm HR manager at a hospitality group who own a few pubs around Perth and own a Wagyu farm, and there's a bit of everything in there. So, like for me, that
sort of rubbed up on you a bit.
I've got a bit fancy, but no, like the transition for me was always made a lot easier by the fact I was always realistic that cricket was never going to be the be-all, end-all, and I probably had a few things behind me to just be able to jump straight into, you know, I guess a role where I could use some of my skills that I'd learned as a professional cricketer, your people skills, you know, your ability to handle pressure and all these things that are otherwise in the business world are like hard skills to come by sometimes, and be able to combine my my studies with that.
Wins alongside there, yeah. Still on the cricketing, still playing the sport itself. Do you find that you're offering a lot of your experiences off to the younger talent that's coming through as well?
Oh yeah, my other transition was pretty much as soon as I stopped playing, I was able to come on as a coach with WA, so be able to do sort of the junior pathways in the spin bowling realm, which was like it just happened that as soon as I stopped, there was a position there as a spin bowling coach, and I'm fortunate that was able to be provided to me as well. So in that space, I get a really good drive of being able to almost fuel that next generation of young spin bowlers and young cricketers in general, because you're around guys who are coming through from a multitude of different disciplines in the cricket space. And I've been, I think, 4 years or 5 years coming up now with WA cricket doing the spin bowling space, and each year you're still learning, and that's the beauty as well. Any sort of coach, you really, because you're coming up with so many different players and different sort of personality. Where you got to sort of tailor your coaching a little bit for them. You're always learning in that space. So it's something that I've really enjoyed as a post-playing career is that coaching element as well.
I do imagine it'd be rewarding as well, like because you've obviously had all those experiences yourself, and you've got to learn from the day dot getting into the state squad to where you managed to get to. Now you're offering it back, so you're sort of sharing everything you've learned to these younger guys and just going, It might not be perfect, but you just take the opportunities as they come. Just keep doing the hard work. Yeah.
Well, that's like I didn't go to a cricket school or all these things. I didn't have probably the traditional cricket pathway. Didn't play state 17s and all these things. So I'm sort of like I try instill a little bit within, because there's so much pressure in state 17s, state 19s, in cricket in general, in any sport. So. My coaching is just as much around the skill element as it is the mental side, and making sure guys don't sort of burn themselves out before they hit sort of 19, 20 years old, and they, whether it is at a professional level or just a district level, whatever, they're enjoying cricket and they're enjoying their sport still, and it's not something that, they've just worked incredibly harder as a 17, 18-year-old to the point where they put too much pressure and it probably hasn't coincided with performance, and they burn themselves out too early. So just for me, that mental side of things and keeping just keeping guys, I guess, a bit level-headed in some degree as well. So it's good. I enjoy the coaching side of things for sure.
Awesome, mate. And nowadays, so it's just working, and you've got a little family as well?
Got a little one, which is he's good fun. He sleeps well, he eats well, and he's a little
enjoying the dad life.
And look, that's I think the big one for me with some of the transition over the past couple of years has been like, go to a cricket setup which isn't going to be absolutely 10 or 11 hours of my day. It's probably 7 or 8 hours of my day, and give myself, I can do swimming lessons in the morning and do all that, and then from a work-life balance point of view, it helps as well. But there's definitely, I think, at this age, and even my past few years, cricket is, I'm playing because I enjoy it, not because it's you're not getting paid or whatever it is anymore. It's like it's an enjoyment thing, footy enjoyment thing. You do those things because you enjoy it, and it sort of fills your cup outside of your sort of family life. So the balance of everything post professional career has definitely been a lot better, because you got your friends, you got your family, you still get your sport in there. It just looks a little bit differently. Yeah,
it's not so much that you're finding the time because you have to do it, it's finding the time because you enjoy doing it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you're filling it with stuff that you want to do, not what you have to do. And, professional sport is an absolute luxury for sure. Like it's something that everyone, when you're playing sport, you want to go play at the highest level when you're young. But it comes with its sacrifices at the same time. So it is, I think good where I never was completely burnt out or anything, and I didn't lose my love or anything for any sort of sporting environment. So it was good I could transition outside of that, and now I'm enjoying my balance really well.
Amazing. Liam, thanks so much for joining today, mate. I know we've been trying to line this up for a little while. I reckon we changed dates about 4 or 5 times trying to do this, but we finally got it. It's so cool to hear your story, and it's just cool to catch up again, mate. It's been a bit
Pleasure,
too long
mate.
in between. We'll definitely have to get our good mate Dan to tee something up so we can all catch up again.
Yeah, we might have to get him on the podcast as well, and we can do a bit of a three-way chat to him. But no, it'll
More of an interrogation.
Yeah, I was about to say we can run it and just sit him down, give him a bit of intervention, maybe. No, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Thanks so much, mate. Appreciate it.